Hello all, my name is Kyng-Pin, and today I'm going to be taking you through a time-lapse of how I made this thumbnail for my latest video, SuperHot 2, Powering Up. Let's get started, shall we? I went through first and took pictures of myself, and then retook the pictures when I realized I don't know how to focus a camera. Then I took the two pictures I had and lined up the hand. I tried to stay in roughly the same position so I didn't have to do too much moving. I then went into the second picture and erased everything but the hand, just so I had that one part left, because that's all I needed. I then went through to the second picture and cut myself out completely, because all I needed was me and nothing in the background. I took two pictures here. One with me holding the phone with tape colored purple over the flashlight, so I can get the accurate lighting representation of how I wanted this to look. And then the second picture, in roughly the same pose, I got rid of the phone and made a fist. That way I can just overlay the fist on the thing, have the correct lighting, and still have it look good. So after I went through and made a rough outline eraser of myself, I went through with the lasso tool and just selected everything so I can do a quick invert delete, and then the background is poof, gone. So all I had to do from there was get rid of the hand, erase anything that the fist didn't overlap, and then do my best to paint the phone out from my sleeve and blend the fist into the rest of the coat. This part was a little difficult because there was that shadow from the sleeve overlaying the hand that I couldn't quite get right to begin with. But after a few trial and error things, I was able to overlay it perfectly and make it look like a shadow, which is such a small, minute detail, it didn't matter too much. Then it was time for the lightning cool effects. I brought an image off of Google, don't tell anybody, and I made it all black except for, of course, the lightning. I then went through this, inverted it, and I was able to define the brush. Now I was able to just paint the lightning wherever I wanted. I did this a couple of other times, which you'll see soon, just so I had different lightning to go by, because lightning's never really in the same path. What I then did is I sketched out where I wanted the lightning to be, and then went brush by brush painting the lightning, curving it so it fit the form of the hand more, and repeating this process for every branch of lightning I did. I did my best to overlap certain branches of lightning so they overlapped, so it all looked like one big lightning strike. And then the fist was good, but I wanted it to, I was powering up, so I put more lightning around the rest of the arm. Once I did all this for each one on a different Photoshop layer, I went through, merged them all, and gave it a purple glow. I did have to watch a tutorial bit just to refresh my memory on how to do this, but I did mess with the lighting a little bit, outer and inner glow, and the warp tool to make the lightning form more around my figure. And then once I was in and the lightning was all done, it was time to add the lighting to my skin, because lightning makes light, obviously. So I went in, I painted on an overlay blending mode. I painted purple lighting around the blades and roughly around where the crevices would be. But at this point, it didn't look too great, didn't look as big as I wanted it to be. So what I did is I duplicated the layer of myself, put in a major outer glow, and then just kind of faded it out as it got further up my body. With that, it looked a bit more powerful, and the intense purple lighting on my face actually made a bit more sense. Then I went into the sunglasses portion and just kind of messed with it a little, just so there wasn't so much of that phone glare from the first picture. I filled in it with purple, did a few blending modes, and made it look like I was getting light from a much bigger source than a single point flashlight. From there, it was time to move on to the rest of the thumbnail, mainly the background. There was a bit of a, what am I going to do here with this? So I decided to first try the basic gradient walls that I did in the first thumbnail, and that did work out pretty well, but I wanted the title of the game to scale along the wall, and that took a few trial and error things. As you can see, I'm putting in multiple and deleting multiple versions of the title. So then that was good, and then I wanted to add the spade that are in all my Sans Minecraft thumbnails. So my first idea was, I'll add it as a cool little net tattoo. But it was also a mix of too small and too big. So I decided I'd leave that for now, and I went back to trying to figure out the title. This one was hard because I had to figure out a good placement for it where I wasn't blocking too much of it and it was still able to read, but one that didn't make the other side of the thumbnail look too empty. So what I did was I did more of a 3D wall, like there was a corner there. And it's not the greatest, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. And I think what really sells the effect is the fact that the MCD part of the thing actually curves along the wall, so it's at a different angle than the rest of the title. So I had to play with the angling a bit, a few trial and errors, and then after I abandoned the neck tattoo idea, I decided to go with the crystallized spade that's in the first SuperHot thumbnail. And from here, it all looked pretty good. I just added in flooring of a different shade of gray, but even after all of this, it still looked pretty plain. Like, it's good, but there's just me and a cube. So what I wanted to do was add another enemy in there. And I figured this is what the original one was going to look like with the guy holding the gun. I was going to Photoshop my face onto it with sunglasses on. It was going to look cool. But I figured I'll reuse this one to make it look like I'm powering up, but there's still that immediate sense of danger. So I went in, grabbed a screenshot from the game, cut him out using the same eraser lasso tool combo that I used for me and pretty much everything else in Photoshop. Once I cut him out, I was able to position him right where I am, so the gun is pretty much level with my head. And at that point, all that was really left was to add the glow from my purple glowing arm onto everything to him to make him look like he fit more in the scene. So once we're in that, I tried to play with the camera raw filter a bit. I didn't love how the effects were turning out, so I really didn't do much and decided to really just abandon that. And we were left with this. And that is how I made the thumbnail for Powering Up SuperHot Mind Control Delete Episode 2.